It didn't change a whole lot from practice. We made a lot of changes in practice, got the car a lot better. We had a late draw, which obviously helped us, and we could listen into what other people were saying about the racetrack, and we made a couple little air pressure adjustments, and the car was really good. It was a little bit freer than what we had in practice, but my RPM on exit the corner was actually about 100 better than practice, so I actually thought it was going to be a better lap. I just gave up a little bit getting in the corner, which these mile and a halves, it's really easy to overdrive your entry and mess up your whole lap, so probably did the right thing by doing that, but still I feel like I left a little bit out there.
Let me just open up to questions for Paul very quickly. He's got to go off to NASCAR Nationwide Series practice. Any questions for Paul? Go ahead.
Hey, Paul. Randy Kovitz, Kansas City Star. Two things. One, is there a little bit of be a non-chase guy to stick your car up there and be at the front, when the chase just dominates all the headlines? That's number one. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I can speak for everybody in the garage that they give 100% every time they go out. So no, there's no, if we could have qualified second every race this year, we probably would have taken that. We would like to have a few poles, obviously, but we just hit on something the last few weeks and been qualifying well. Had a good race last week, and just got to have a good race Sunday.
My second thing is, really, you've had very little success here at all. I mean, just what about today? What's the difference today than your previous 3 times here?
Car drives good. If the car's not driving good, it's really hard to. It makes for a long day for sure. We had some notes from last year, which I think we qualified 20th, and had some video of the lap and kind of picked up a few things from that. Totally different race car, totally different setup, and it's working.
Anything further for Paul? Paul, thank you and congratulations. Good luck today in Nationwide.
Good luck, man.
We're now joined by today's third place qualifier, driver number 24, DuPont Chevrolet, Jeff Gordon. Jeff, tell us about your lap.
Oh man, I feel like I'm on the pole right now. It's been quite a while since we've qualified well. I think since like Darlington, since I was in the top 3 or 5 or 3, I guess, and then maybe Pocono since we were in the top 5. But we've just really, and not that we haven't been trying hard, been trying really hard to qualify better, and I feel like it has been impacting our races. I feel like one thing that we do well is qualify well, and we're used to qualifying up front, and we race better when we qualify up front. And I don't feel like we've been doing a good enough job of that. So today, definitely big plus, big gain there. After that last round of practice, I wasn't so optimistic, but Steve and all the guys made some great adjustments. Car was balanced really well, and the track obviously changed because the track seemed to slow down a little bit for most guys, but for us, we picked up a little bit. So here we are third. So it's a great day.
We'll go ahead and open it back up to questions. For Jeff, who's got a question? Start up here behind you.
Jeff, Steve Brisnine, AP. What's to say that 6 of the top 10 spots went to non-chase guys today?
I mean, if you looked at practice and who was up in the top 10 or 15 spots, and then you look at qualifying, it all flip-flopped. I mean, it just seems like the track threw a bunch of guys really far off, because normally we pick up grip and we go faster qualifying. It seemed like a lot of guys, tried to push the cars and to go faster and actually slow down qualifying. And so I think that's kind of what threw it off and why there's so many non-chase guys up there in the top 10 right now. But you got to give a lot of credit to those teams too. Right now they have nothing to lose. They're out there trying to find something to finish their season off and to end something for next year. To get their program going and stronger. And so a lot of times they just go for broke and sometimes they hit on something, and that's it's not unusual for that to happen this time of year.
Follow-up, Jeff. Early on in Sunday's race, as you've got so many chase guys farther back in the pack, you anticipate it's going to be kind of hairy early going Sunday as people try to get back up front and sort that out?
I'm just glad right now I'm not having to deal with that. You know, I've been dealing with that every weekend for the last 10, 12 weeks, it seems like, and it's not fun. It doesn't matter whether there's chase guys or non-chase guys. It's never fun starting, you know, mid-pack, and, you know, the cars don't drive as good, you know, because of the aerodynamics and the turbulent air and everything, and you know, you're really not sure how to adjust the car, because if you do get to the front, it's probably going to handle different, and you know, there's always more risk to get yourself caught up in something. So, you know, for a change, we got ourselves in a good spot, and let those other guys deal with what we've been dealing with, and you know, I'm sure they'll make their way up there. I think when this race comes down to the end, you're still going to see the guys that are battling for the championship up front.
David Caravella, NASCAR.com. Are you looking forward to a stretch comprised mostly of intermediate tri-ovals, and do you think that we're going to learn something about maybe who the strongest teams are in this chase from now until Charlotte?
Yeah, you know, it's funny because that's been our weakness the last few years in the chase, is the mile and a halves, and it's something that we really went to work on last year at this time, and I feel like it's something that we've been much better at this year. So, you know, we've gotten through these first two races, and they didn't go exactly the way that we were hoping. And you know, the whole time leading into the chase, we're saying our strength is our mile and a half program. You know, let's get to Kansas. And I couldn't help but get down a little bit from our finish last week at Dover. But this is certainly given some spark back to our confidence. And, you know, this is a track that we've run well at as well as it's a mile and a half. So I think, yeah, you're going to, you know, we've always heard, at least in the last few years, mile and a half, the guys that are strong on the mile and a half seem to be the guys that win the championship. And we certainly hope that holds true this year as well, because that is where we've put a lot of our focus, and we're better. You still got to be good at the other tracks, but, you know, I think that a lot of times those mile and a halves, because there's, 4 or 5 of them in there, that they seem to be more of a determining factor.
Back here, Jeff Scott, Trailer, Sports Radio 810 WHB and RacingBoys.com. Jeff, with the old car, it was so important to get a good qualifying position and start towards the front because the cars were so aero sensitive. Is it the same with this car, and was qualifying in the top 10, does that mean as much now as it would have, say, again, when you run the Twisted Sister car?
Twisted Sister.
That's what they call it. I didn't make that name. Somebody come up with that. I didn't.
That's the first time I've ever heard it called that. But it's a good analogy. It's good. I like it. Qualifying is far more important now than it was then, and I'll tell you why. Aerodynamics, you know, are always playing a role in motorsports, all kinds of motorsports, and never more important than today. The difference is that these cars are aero sensitive. The problem is they're all so identical. You know, the speed of the cars are all so close that it's so hard to get an edge on the competition. So it's so much harder to work your way through the field. And so in some ways, to me, it makes the cars more aerodynamically sensitive in traffic. But the nice thing is we're here at Kansas, a nice wide racetrack, multiple grooves, and that's an absolute must for this car. If you aren't allowed to get yourself in clean air here some way based on a wide groove racetrack, you know, you're not going anywhere. You're not going to the front.
So are you for parity or not then? Because that's what it sounds like. The cars are so equal that there's so much parity that there's no separation, and that's what you're saying.
Far more parity today than there ever has been, in my opinion. You know, if you look at the times from, you know, qualifying today versus, you know, several years ago with the old car, you'd have a much bigger gap with the old car versus the new car, and I think the same thing in the race. The pace in the race, you know, sometimes you'll be running 15th and only a tenth or two off of the guys in front of you, but you just can't, you know, seem to find that gap until you get cleaner air, and then all of a sudden there it is, and the cars are so, you know, you could be off the tiniest bit, and it seems like you're off a mile. Where the old car, you could be off a lot, and never get it. And even if you got to the front, it might not have changed a whole lot of things. And there are some more adjustments too. I mean, I'm not putting down this car. I love this car. I think it's come a long ways. I think that the racing is fantastic, and I struggle with it as a driver from time to time, because I haven't been able to figure out some things with it, especially like at Dover. But when we come to a place like Kansas that I have confidence in, and we put a good package together, we have a lot of fun with this car and run well, and I love it. Dover. Well, the thing about this car is it has a higher center of gravity. It doesn't have the downforce in the front of the car that the old car had. So what happens is, it's much harder to use the tools that we have to get the car to do all of what you want. We used to be able to make a car comfortable getting in, and if it was tight in the middle, we had some tools to free the car up in the middle that didn't affect the exit too much. Now the cars are running sideways down the straightaway, just trying to get downforce and side force in them, and it makes them not drive perfect. They just are broken up through the corner. And some guys have figured it out, and some guys haven't. On our mile and a half, we've seemed to have done a good job with it. Still searching for some things in some of the short tracks. So, yeah.
Anything further for Jeff?
I think I've said enough.
Congratulations.
Thank you
for your time.